Hello everybody and welcome back to the ISR AIC. It's been a long time coming. Round 6 after that phenomenal race we had in Nürburgring where Josh Martin took the victory. We are coming back for round 6 now, business end of the season, and things are starting to heat up and ironically beginning to heat up in the championship as we heat up under the deserts of the Marina circuit. Alongside me today is Josh Martin. Hello Josh, how are you today?
Hi Toby, not bad mate, things are looking good, so I'm excited to see what happens today.
Yeah, of course, coming the back of Josh Martin's win in Nürburgring, he climbed up an astonishing 8 positions to be right up in the title fight now in 3rd place. He's battling Douglas Anderson and Callum Spencer. Callum Spencer's been very consistent over the course of this season, although he hasn't had that many spectacular results like the domination of Josh in Nürburgring or the great climb up the field by Douglas in Austria and stuff like that. He hasn't had those stand-up performances, but the consistency's put him where he is today. Out of the top 3, Josh, who do you think we should be looking out for the most today?
Yeah, definitely. I think Callum's probably a driver that's going to lend himself well. Like you've said, throughout the season he's been consistent, and I mean, you know yourself, stuff like that is what wins you the championships, not the one-off dominations. So definitely a driver to watch. Douglas as well, probably going to be keeping an eye on him, but I think Callum's going to be the big target tonight, Toby.
That's great to hear. So we're going to go take a look at qualifying and get ready to go racing in Yas Marina. So as we get ready to go dueling in the desert, it is Nickel Foggy for NLR who takes a pole position ahead of Gareth Lennon. Surprisingly enough, the Iron Brew team are really showing a great return to form with Colin McAllister's 5th place in the Nürburgring, and now Gareth Lennon qualifying on the first row after a season of not scoring any points. Lucky Strike JSR driver and Mr. Consistency Callum Spencer will line up 3rd on the grid ahead of Charles McBee, who brings GTFG back to form. Rhanis Melngalis for Team ISR will line up in 5th position. He is ahead of Danny Diaz for Team EQU, another 2 teams that are beginning to make a return to form. Christopher Pettersson will continue that trend ahead of Iron Brew Racing driver Colin McAllister.
Craig Evans lines up on row 5 of the grid ahead of 2nd place in the championship Douglas Anderson from the ART team. On row 6 we got Ross McLaren of Pro Race UK just ahead of Evan Imre and Force Fizzy. Row 7 sees Stephen Paul of GTFG ahead of Jonathan Carrero, and then on row 8 we have Nut Martinson ahead of Toby Byrne from ISR.
17th place sees Valeria Campagnari from the NORL team, another miserable day in the office in qualifying for him. He's ahead though of Josh Martin, who'll be very disappointed with just 18th place on row 9 on the grid. 19th place sees Joshua Wood, another Joshua that will be disappointed with his qualifying today. He's ahead of Kevin Jacobs for Team ART. Chester Jackson in 21st, and once again bringing up the rear of the grid is Zach Swader. So there are your qualifying results, Josh. There's some big names down towards the bottom. But again, Mr. Consistency and Callum Spencer is all the way up in 3rd position.
Yeah, definitely. Callum's showing that you just need to take it nice and easy and you'll get the results you want. A lot of battles going to be going on tonight, I think, as we see a lot of the championship contenders fighting through the grid. So an exciting race, Toby. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm glad to hear it. We're getting ready for the desert under the duel, and let's get ready to go racing. Hello everybody to a sunny Yas Marina, and there's no time to dabble because we're getting ready for 5 red lights the minute we go racing here. Lights down, the way we go. It looks like it's a pretty good start from both drivers on the front row. Gareth Lennon getting a good start. Looks like Rhanis Melngalis might have a good start too. He's trying to split the 2nd row. He's going to go up the inside, and that's a double move. He's gone through the middle of Charles McBee and Callum Spencer. If he can hold this against Callum Spencer, because he'll of course have the inside just like that. But oh, we've got a Nemesis Online racing car getting sideways in the background. Carbon fibre debris coming off too. But it looks like on this early lap combustion, Rhanis Melngalis has made a double move into 3rd place. Fantastic move from him. We can see Force Fizzy of Evan Imre doing battle with Craig Evans in the background championship contender. He's got to be a little bit careful. Not that careful because there's more carbon fibre falling off in the background. 3 wide into the hairpin for the first time. Stephen Paul really forcing the issue, making up a couple of places on the hairpin. And as we make our run down to the first chicane, Josh, what are your first thoughts?
Yeah, Toby, it's all kicking off very quickly. A lot of championship battles going on. You can see there we've got two drivers heading side by side down this very long straight here at ISR Marina, and the championship is kicking off in spectacular form, Toby.
Of course, it is kicking off and getting ready to go. We can see that the Autobats cars a little bit lower down the grid, especially Jonathan Ferrer. Wow, that was sideways action for Kevin Jacobs. That puts him under a little bit of pressure. Valeria Campagnari and the Autobats of Zach Swade are now going to try and make that free wide situation. The ART gets back in front and it's away again down into the run on the second chicane. But it looks like Valeria Campagnari may lose out a position to that Autobac 765 as they come into the next chicane. We'll see who's the victor on that one. Of course, that now has the inside. If Valeria can hold it on the outside, oh no, not quite. And oh, Kevin Jacobs mounting the back of Josh Martin, and he is around, and wow, okay, there's the sparks that we were waiting for, Josh.
Yeah, Toby, it looks like he just got onto the back of Josh there a bit too quick in the braking zone, and you saw there was quite a bit of height off the back of the car, so the mechanics will be checking if there's even more contact now. It's all kicking off. Josh's car is all over the place. Huge contact. So Charlie Whiting will be getting a call shortly, Toby.
I'm sure that the Pro Race team will be on the horn to him. We'll see what the stewards will have a look at that, and we'll see what their verdict is maybe a little bit later in the race. As we can see, Rhinus Melgalis looking like he's starting to pressure the IM Brew car just a little bit as they come into the Turn 1 complex once again. Very good start from Rhinus Melgalis. We talked about this a little at the start, Josh. He went from 5th place to 3rd place, so two moves made, and he actually made it around this corner we're going around now, around the outside. So we was focusing on an NORL car of Pettersson drifting, but he made an astonishing move all the way around the outside, and now he's trying to go after the Northern Irishman, who is still looking, Josh, surprisingly, for his first points of the season. That's surprising because, of course, he was a race winner last season.
Yeah, definitely, and it just goes to show that whilst there's so much contact going on at the start, as long as you keep it clean, keep your nose out of the trouble, you can make moves. You can see now he's on the back of the Iron Brew car, and as the slipstream's coming into effect, you can expect a move perhaps into this first chicane. We've obviously seen Brandon Lee with F1 Esports showing that a move is possible, and is there a move on? It doesn't look like he's quite close enough, but maybe next time round, Toby.
Very late on the brakes, closes up a lot of distance into the first chicane. Does Rhinus Melgalis looking to try set himself up potentially for another move coming into the second chicane. We ride on board with the ISR car. ISR had a pretty troubling season so far. Rhinus Melgalis putting in the performances lately though to really bring them back up to the front runners and having a good contest. Same with Iron Brew. Looks like he's not going to make a move on that occasion. We'll look back through the field, see what everyone else is doing. We can see the cars coming through and a line of stern. You can see that that train has got a little bit separated from the main train after the contact between Kevin Jacobs and Josh Martin, which kind of split the two trains up. And now we're just sort of getting into the little bit of recomposing yourself, getting ready to go attacking once again. There's not many moves can be made through this final sector, and the best opportunity is probably turn 1 when we'll see these guys get battling again, Josh. But here's a replay. Talk us through it.
Yeah, so you can just see right there, he just gets straight onto the back of Josh, and there's quite a few contacts before he actually spins, comes right across the racing line, and like you say, that's the instant that actually backs up the field. So quite a messy move there, Toby, but just coming back to this phase of the race, like you touched upon, with these cars, quite a lot of power, and you need to be careful with the tyres, so you need to be pacing yourself, getting ready for an attack, and I think over the next maybe 3 or 4 laps, we'll see the drivers start to put the pressure on once again. Yeah,
we don't talk about it enough, about how it may look like a sprint, but at the same time, there's a lot of things to consider. When you look at all the aero on this car as well, Josh, all the canards and the crazy wings and stuff, there's got to be a lot of dirty air being generated by these cars too. So it's very hard to follow successfully without damaging the tyres, overheating the car, and stuff. You can see Charles McBee starting to pressure Callum Spencer just a little bit. That you can see, look how many guys are in the same panning shot. I think that is, what's that, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, the top 10. Maybe top 11 if you're cheeky, in the same panning shot. So although we haven't seen as many overtakes as some other rounds so far, these guys are still in it, and it could very well be still anyone in the top 10's game.
Yeah, exactly, and just touching on Callum Spence there, obviously we can see he's sitting on the back and it's quite easy to judge that he's not making a move, but like you say, with 10 cars in a train, one mistake and that could throw you right out of the pecking order, as we see, I believe that's one of the Northern Lights racing cars sitting on the back end there. But Toby, with these cars, I mean, they're all fairly well balanced, I'd say, so it is a lot down to driver talent.
Of course, as well. made famous by, I believe it was Lewis Hamilton this year, that said that this circuit is actually a lot more difficult to overtake than it looks. Of course, on paper, Colin McAllister's not going to try listen to Lewis Hamilton. No, he tries to go around the outside of an EQU car, doesn't quite make it on that occasion. Forced Fizzy car of Nut Martinson trying to make a similar move on Douglas Anderson in the background, but it looks like it was just a bit too far-fetched for those guys. But he said that it was a much more difficult track to overtake than it looks, because of course on paper it's straight, chicane, straight, heavy braking zone. It theoretically it should be a very good overtaking spot, but for some reason it's not.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like we said with these cars, a lot of power behind them, so if you're a bit too early on that throttle, the back end will bite, and despite all this huge amounts of aero, that's really not going to land you too well, as we see the number 21 car there looking to make a move into the last corner. Maybe not yet, but still plenty of time left in this race, Toby, and we still could see some changes in the championship.
We're currently playing a little bit of follow the leader. Following the leader is Charles McBee there. Really starting to pressure Callum Spencer a bit. He's falling a little bit away from Ryan Mangalis, perhaps a little bit more than he'd like, coming under threat from the GTFG car. Interesting story between these two, battling actually these two teams, Josh, because these two actually tied on points for the championship win last season, if you remember. The JSR, formerly known then as SLR, tied on points with GTSG for the championship, but SLR won because they had the better result overall in the season. That's actually the GTFG car getting a little bit rude, trying to push the quarter panel of the JSR car. That's going to put him under a little bit of threat from the NORL car as we come into the next long-awaited chicane, but it looks like Charles McBee's getting a little bit bored of the back of that JSR car.
Yeah, definitely. Coming into this chicane here, we could see a move on. He's looking up the inside. He's going to be late on the brakes. Can he be late enough? He's up the inside. Bit of contact there as well. He's going to force his way through. They're side by side for the second part of the chicane. Still side by side. And it looks like he's made the move, Toby. So might be a bit of arguments there on the pit wall, but I'd say a pretty good move overall. Argy-bargy,
aggressive, and most importantly, opportunistic move by Christopher Pettersson. GTFG driver Charles McBee not eager to let that one go, neither is the EQU driver, because he wants a piece of the action too, trying to go around the outside, which turns to the inside. Not going to happen for, I believe that's Danny Diaz on that occasion. They all have to sit back in and remain patient for the next opportunity. But yeah, Christopher Pettersson saw the opportunity, and that's what we talk about so much this season. It's so easy to try make a move like McBee made on Spencer, but if it doesn't work out, you are going to lose a lot of time and leave yourself that vulnerable to that car behind you, and that's precious points slipping away from a team that is struggling so much this season.
Yeah, definitely, and just touching upon Danny Diaz there, obviously he's seen that there is a bit of movement available, so he's going to be possibly looking to make a move in these next couple of corners, obviously putting himself at risk to the rest of the field, but so far I think there's a lot of battles going on that we could see right up to the final round.
Of course, these guys are just laying in wait, waiting for their prey to become available at the best time for them guys. We can see riding on board, I believe that's Craig Evans trying to chase down the compatriot of Evan Imre in the Force Fizzy car in the front there. You can look at this battle. This is also Josh Martin trying to chase down NORL car Valerio Campagnari in that situation. These guys still all very close to each other. So although it's, like we say, it's very difficult to make an overtake here, and when you do, you got to make sure you get it right like Pettersson did, or you lose a position like McBee did. But I'm not sure we've seen cars this close together. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just chatting about Callum Spencer, he's currently sitting on P3, I believe. If you're in a position, Toby, you know, he's sitting pretty comfortably in the championship, admittedly only with a 2-point lead, but do you think we should see a bit more pressure from him putting the foot down, or do you think he's going to sit there for the rest of the race?
There's that, but it all depends on his knowledge of what his competitors are doing. If he knows Douglas Anderson is outside the points currently, Josh Martin outside the points currently as well. So if he knows that, he might want to put his foot down a bit and challenge, but I mean, any contact with Mel Galis that could put him out of the race or put him out the points, and he's cost himself a big cushion. So I think, theoretically, I think everybody, including himself, wants him to have a good time, push, and see what battles you can do. But at the same time, I think that's going to be playing in his mind that he could easily lose what could be such a good day today.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm just looking at the points now. Based on the kind of the results that we're having, we see a big shift. Craig Evans will be moving up, Josh will be dropping down a couple of positions, so I think for Callum, he just needs to keep his head down and wait and see what can happen. Obviously, Josh having quite a few incidents at the start of the race. That car is going to be quite badly damaged, I'd imagine, and I would be surprised if the Pro Race boys are asking him to come in for repairs.
Yep, there's also that opportunity, but he's got to remember, he can come in for repairs, but at the same time, that's with only 5 laps to go. I'm not convinced. With these cars being so equal, I'm not sure he'd be able to catch back up and do anything. So he might just leave him out to dry a little bit there and just see what he can do, have some fun. His day's kind of been ruined, but that's racing, and sometimes that happens. I'm sure the stewards will take a look and decide any appropriate action. In the meantime, we can discuss the likes of the front runner, Nickel Foggy. I haven't talked about him too much. He's been kind of quiet this season. Of course, he was a pivotal part in being Craig Evans' rear gunner in round 1 at Brands Hatch and taking that amazing NLR 1-2 in the opening round of the season. That was like almost a Brawn GP success story. Them guys were literally back markers in season 1, and then they come back in season 2, round 1, and take a 1-2. So Nickel's been quiet but consistent, and with him leading the race today, I think he's in a good place to take the championship lead, Josh.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think there was quite a lot of discussions went on behind us. We see Callum Spencer coming under a bit of pressure there for the chicane. Not quite close enough though to be under too much pressure. But I think, yeah, just coming back on your story there, it was very much like Brawn GP. A lot of moves going on in the background. But it's good to see the team moving forward. And this is what we want for every team, isn't it, really? We want a nice championship battle, both for the drivers and the manufacturers, Toby.
Every dog has his day. Christopher Pettersson wants that day to be today because he's almost pushing Callum J. Spencer through the chicane complex there, trying to look for any opportunity. Look to the inside there, still looking to the inside, but look at Gareth Lennon up ahead. We just saw him in a pan shot, actually looked like he got really close to Nickel Foggy there, so Nickel Foggy made a little bit of a mistake. And look how much pressure the race leader's now under, Josh.
Yeah, definitely. Nickel's going to have to pull out all the tricks he can here to keep cars behind him. Obviously, coming into this final section of the track, very difficult to overtake. We saw Hamilton do this to Rosberg back for the title. And, Nickel's going to be using all the tricks in the book to keep it fair, but also make sure that nobody gets past them.
3 laps remaining next time we go by. Gareth Lennon is starting to smell a win for the first time since Mendig in season 1 when he drove for the SLR team, and they'll be wanting to prove all the doubters that think moving to Iron Brew Racing was a mistake. He wants to change everyone's mind on that and show them that it's not a mistake. You have to argue he went from a championship winning team, which is now leading the championship again for the 2nd season in a row, to a team that's only just starting to come into points, so he'll be a little bit frustrated, but I think he'll be able to turn that frustration into a sort of passion and be able to use that to go after Nickel Foggy today. The Battle of the UK going on in the front, followed by a Latvian driver, Melngenis. UK once again for Callum Spencer. Sweden, Christopher Pettersson, and America for this man we're riding on board with Charles. But B is actually under pressure from the EQU car of his fellow American, Danny Diaz. Danny Diaz looked up the inside there while we were riding on board. Maybe we were supposed to see a little bit of contact, I'm not sure, or it's just unfortunate timing, but Danny Diaz certainly trying to force the issue. In a similar way, he tried on Christopher Pettersson, and it didn't pay out. Does Danny Diaz have enough research? He's been watching how McBee operates. Does he have enough research to know how to pull that move off, Josh, and be successful with it this time?
Well, you'd like to think so. We've seen a lot of drivers building up the gap into the second chicane here. Maybe we'll see Danny Diaz holding it a bit up the inside. It's certainly the perfect opportunity. The slipstream coming well into play. One of the fastest parts of the circuits here, and we come into the braking zone. You can see he's right on the back of that car, but I just don't think he can make it happen. Just coming back to Gareth Lennon with the Iron Brew team, we spoke about how perhaps, as we got a replay here, and I believe that is one of the NLR cars up the inside. Nope, he seems to be slowing down. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, Toby.
This is a battle for last place between Josh Martin and Valerio Campagnari, and it all ends with a spectacular move around the outside of turn 3 by Josh Martin. So Pro Race UK makes the move. That's a move we didn't catch live on camera, and that's a good move by Josh Martin, but I'll hand it back to you, Josh.
Yeah, definitely a bit caught out there. Look at the move, it's just the slow motion there. But yeah, just touching back on the Iron Brew team, perhaps he knows something that we don't, and we could see something over the next few seasons, some movement up the field. Certainly one to watch though, Toby, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we can go back to, again, using the man we're using as metaphors today. Lewis Hamilton left a very successful McLaren for a Mercedes, which many people were shocked by, but fast forward a few years and look where we are. So that could very well be what Iron Brew's plans are for the future. We understand he fell out, of course, with Callum Spencer in that team as well, and that ended up with the pair being split up, and Callum Spencer was opted to remain to stay on, and obviously that was a good choice because he's up running in 4th place right now, comfortable for the championship lead. But knowing Callum Spencer, an avid racer, I'm sure he'll be a bit disappointed that he got caught out by such a fast starting Latvian of Melnganis into turn 1. And that move, how difficult is that kind of move to make, Josh, going up the middle of 2 cars?
Yeah, definitely. I think Melnganis proved that it's actually a very difficult move to make, as we just see Foggy under a bit of pressure here. But yeah, to go up the inside, you need to have confidence in both yourself and the drivers around you, and I think he pulled that move off as clean as he could, and it certainly showed that this is a driver that we need to keep our eye on for the future. Just looking now as gaps are starting to build, and it looks like everyone's starting to fall into their own gaps, so although we're on lap 8 of 10, Toby, I think the next few laps could be very intense.
They could be, of course. We have the top 2 very close together, and Melnganis just behind them, look, in case one of them makes a move like McBee. And we saw our wheezy Christopher Pettersson was able to take that on board and make that opportunistic, so it's very possible that Melnganis could do that to these two. Gareth Lennon's been searching for a way past Nickel, but Nickel is just so late on the brakes that he can't really gain. And, of course, Lennon will be looking all the way forward, but at this moment as well, there's a big white and black car, Josh, behind him, starting to get very big in the rear mirrors.
Yeah, definitely. I think any mistakes now from any of the top 3, and they're going to be punished for it. And although this is a 10-lap race, we spoke about it being a little bit of an endurance, certainly for the drivers mentally, but for the cars as well, the tyres will be starting to lose their grip, and you're going to have to be taking into account even all of these factors. So not only are you trying to keep the gap to the car behind, but you're also trying to manage your own tyres. And Toby, you know yourself, it can be quite easy for any of these drivers to be caught out.
Of course, you're in such a fine limit now with the tyres that if you make one look at Gareth Lennon trying to make a move up the final corner, what a dive bomb. Gareth Lennon is famous for those dive bombs. He tries one on Nickel Foggy. Nickel Foggy, wise to that one. You're going to have to get out of bed a lot earlier, Gareth, if you want to try sell them on a man we know is so successful in other simulation series, as you will know yourself, Josh. Like I said, the best way to put it is you're going to need to get out of bed earlier than that to full Nickel, but that's a good effort by Gareth Lennon to really wake up Nickel Foggy. He was caught half napping there, and Gareth Lennon very nearly punished him for it.
Yeah, definitely. I think Gareth is making his intentions very clear. Look how close he is to the back of Nickel, and as we come into the hairpin, a good opportunity to make a dive, but not this time, Toby. And these cars, all equal performance, but Nickel really just going to have to keep his head down. Like you said, he's a very talented driver, but anyone can get caught out quite easily like that. But quite an impressive move trying to go for it in the last corner, do you think?
Yeah, he caught Nickel out very well. It almost actually worked, but Nickel was able to slam the door just when he needed. Look at Ryan Melgales, look how late he is on the brakes. He's actually pushing Gareth Lennon through the chicane. I think he outbroke himself there just a little bit, the ISR driver, and actually pushed the Iron Brew car, but no harm, no foul, just a little bit of a case of being on the brakes. And in the slipstream as well, there's a term the drivers call, I'm sure you know yourself, Josh, that the slipstream can pull you in, and that's because when you're in the slipstream braking, there's not that air resistance there to help you slow down. So when you're braking, it takes a lot longer to slow down in the slipstream than it would without the slipstream. And I think that's just a case of what happened to Melgales there. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, what to remember is with that reduced airflow, the brake temperatures will remain high, so you can make those moves all day if you'd like, but your brakes are going to run out fairly quickly. And of course, I know I keep coming back to it, Callum Spencer just in the background there, he's probably looking at all this and hoping that something happens, because any incidents for him is 3 points, and he can extend that championship lead over Douglas Anderson and Josh. So as we enter, coming up onto lap 10 now, Nickel Foggy's still holding on to the race lead, seeing what he can achieve, and fingers crossed we will see him take his win.
Yeah, fingers crossed for Nickel Foggy, fingers crossed for Gareth Lennon that he can make something. This will be Gareth Lennon's first points of the season, and what a way to do it if he could take the win today. Unfortunately, it looks like Nickel's a little bit wise to that one, but we keep talking about Callum Spencer in his championship battle. We got to remember that Nickel is hanging around in about 5th or 6th or somewhere in the championship. He could very easily gain massively today as well. We'll have to see at the end of the day what the standings look like, but it's a very good day for Nickel, so all the more pressure mounting on Nickel. Gareth, effectively, in a way you could say he has something to lose, you know, big points, first podium of the season for Iron Brew could mean quite a lot to them, but at the same time, what has he got to lose if he goes for one of them late moves and takes out Nickel in the heat of the moment? So 2 minds for Gareth Lennon, but a lot of pressure, I would say, on Nickel's shoulders as we come into the next 2 chicanes, Josh, for the final time.
Yeah, definitely. It is a desert jewel that we've got on our hands here. Gareth Lennon, if he's going to go for it, he's running out of time. Nickel Foggy probably checking his mirrors at every opportunity here, and we will see if this gentleman that we're watching right now can take his first win of the championship. As we come up to the second chicane, doesn't look like he's close enough though, Toby. I think Nickel might be able to hold them off unless there's any mistakes. But overall, Toby, been a pretty successful race for Garn and the Iron Brew Racing team.
It's been great. They've really come alive in the last 2 races. Of course, McAllister had a great drive from about 10th, 11th actually, to 5th in Nürburgring to get them the first points of the season. And now I think they're both in the points currently. So they've really started to come alive late in the season, a little bit late. Gareth would have liked to be in this position a bit earlier in the season. But it does look like Nickel is pretty much safe for now. But we know Gareth has made that dive bomb in the final corner before. Can he do it once more? He looks a little bit far back. It all depends on how they get the corner exit of the very next corner as we come around the penultimate corner for the final time. It looks like Nickel's safe, doesn't it? It looks like Nickel's done the job today. Ironically, this will be his first ever win in the AIC for Nickel Foggy. It's ironic that it hasn't come sooner, given his reputation. He comes home, takes the win. Gareth Lennon takes his first podium, and Iron Brew's first podium of the season. And Mel Galis takes home another well-earned podium in 3rd position. Great day in the office for Callum Spencer, who will take a lovely 12 points. And he'll love that buffer with Douglas Anderson and Kerr being out of the championship standings. But there you go, Josh. That is your race at Abu Dhabi.
A very spectacular race. We saw some great driving right the way through. You can see Nickel Foggy takes the win from Gareth Lennon. Mengelis and Spencer 3rd and 4th, with Peterson, McBee and Danny Diaz, a very successful driver in P7. Colin McAllister in P8, long ahead of Stephen Paul. Ross McFarlane in P10 rounding out there. Toby Byrne and Douglas Anderson in P12.
Yep, that is your top 12. We'll get the second page on that very shortly, but Toby Byrne and Douglas Anderson just missing out. Douglas would have loved to make 2 more positions just to help him that little bit in the championship. They just miss out today, and we'll have to do the work some other time. They've got 2 more rounds to bring the challenge to Callum Spencer. He's been nice and consistent. They'll be praying that he's not so consistent next time in Autopolis, and I'm sure we'll have that. Here is your second page. Revenant Martinson, the champion in 13th. Looks like his championship defending hopes are out the window. Jonathan Carrera, 14th. Great drive from the Orderbacks boys to get up from basically the back of the grid to where they are. Joshua Wood, ahead of Kevin Jacobs, Jackson, Imre, Evans down in 20th. He dropped some positions even further. Martin 21st after that damage, and but he did manage to outperform one guy, Valerio Campagnari, with a great move, Josh.
Yeah, definitely, and as we see the championship standings there, Callum Spencer is sitting pretty on top with Nickel Foggy now up in 2nd, so Toby, like you say, making massive gains. Douglas Anderson in 3rd and Josh Martin in 4th. Craig Evans is in 5th, ahead of Carrero, Galis, Wood, Swader and McFarlane in 10th. 11th is Evan Imre, ahead of Christoph Petterson and NOR Lau, had a very successful race as well. Charles McBee, Toby Byrne, Chester Jackson and Danny Diaz are in 14th, all tied for points, ahead of Gareth Lennon, Nat Martinson, Colin McAllister and Kevin Jacobs.
That's your top 20, and that is very close for 11th and beyond, into 11th, even 10th down there is pretty close together. We have Lucky Strike JSR leading the way, but only by 5 points after Nickel's win helped out NLR today. Pro Racer UK have a pretty average day. Automax drop down into 4th position at the expense, I would assume, of NLR having a great day today. Iron Brew Racing, though, have a successful day, moved them solidly into the top 10, and it is now NORL who has dropped out of the top 10, but they are 11th. So, great day for Iron Brew Racing, arguably the best team out there today in terms of points gains, and it was a bit of a more tactical race than we've seen this season, but it required a lot of endurance, and these guys really put on quite the tense show towards the end.
Yeah, definitely, Toby. Like you say, it wasn't as action-packed as last week, but it was still a very important race for the championship. Like you said, if it comes towards the business end, it's all still to play for. So moving forward, I think things are going to heat up a bit more, and I'm sure you're just as excited as I am, Toby, to see what comes from this in our next round.
Of course. Next time out, join us at the renowned Super GT circuit of Autopolis in Japan, a circuit that has hosted many Super GT and many endurance races in general. Of course, DTM and Super GT are going to be merging soon, so to have these DTM cars at a Super GT track is going to be a glimpse of the future. So join us then, and we'll see which direction this titanic title battle goes into next time. Thank you ever so much for watching. I've been Toby Byrne, that's been Josh Martin. Thank you so much, Josh, for being in the booth with us today. And until next time, at Autopolis, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.